What is happening, YouTube? It's Rules for Rebels here, and today's video is titled You Could Make $800 per day doing this, but I bet you won't. Now, for this idea, you guys are going to have to think outside the box. Some of you guys are probably going to think I went crazy. Some of you guys are probably going to think I am stoned. But this is actually a pretty good money maker if you kind of got the confidence and you don't mind giving up your ego for some money. So the hustle. If you've ever visited Times Square in New York or the Las Vegas Strip or Fremont Street, you've probably seen these guys, the street performers dressed up like cartoon characters or movie characters in costumes. They charge tourists to take pictures with them. I would say normally probably $5 or $10, but I've seen them charge as much as $20 or $25 to get a picture with them. And if you've ever seen these guys, some of you guys may be thinking like, oh, that poor sap, he must be homeless or something. He probably makes no money. In reality, some of these street performers can pull in $800 plus per day. So how does it work? If you are doing this, or if you want to do this, and you have street performers in your area, go watch these guys, see which characters are getting the most customers, find a costume that will attract people, head over to AliExpress. Some of these costumes are, here I say as little as $80. I think they actually have a pretty nice Minion costume for like $69. But go over, buy your costume. They actually have some pretty badass costumes over at AliExpress. And even if you don't plan on getting into this whole street performer game, at the very least, you may be able to find yourself a pretty cool Halloween costume on there. AliExpress has some really, really cool costumes. So then the next step is just going to be find a good location and start soliciting. One more thing I wanted to add. This isn't going to work for everybody. I mean, if you live in Bismarck, North Dakota, you're probably not going to be able to do something like this. But I mean, if you live near a major city or a tourist attraction, you should be able to do this pretty easily. So New York, LA, Houston, most big cities, you could probably do this. Now, I know there are some cities that are like especially well known for this. Like I said, Times Square has a lot of these performers. Fremont Street in Las Vegas has a lot of them. The Las Vegas Strip has a lot of them. I live in Chicago. In Chicago, we don't have a lot of street performers. Occasionally you'll see some like, some kids doing some like gymnastics type stuff on the sidewalk. You might see some kids playing drums or like rapping or dancing. And occasionally you'll see them on like Michigan Avenue or State Street. But like Chicago's not like a big city for street performers. And I think a lot of you guys will probably be like, oh, well, people don't really do that in my city, so I can't do that. In reality, guys, if you live in a decent sized city and people aren't doing this, it's even better. Think about it. Like, I get where you're coming from. Like, if you live in Vegas, you're probably a lot more comfortable going and trying to do something like this. Why? Because there's a bunch of other people out there, so you're not like this one weirdo doing it. But in reality, if you're doing this in Vegas or Times Square, you're competing with like, 50 other people who are trying to do the same thing as you, trying to attract people to come over and take pictures with them for $10 or $20. When in reality, if you were to do this in Chicago on like Michigan Avenue, you would be the only guy out there doing it, and you'd probably make a killing. Like, go hang out outside the American Girl store, or outside, near Navy Pier, or outside some of the shops on Michigan Avenue, and I guarantee you'll get people paying you to take pictures with you. So why does this work? It may seem silly, like, who's going to give me $20 to take a picture of me looking like a stormtrooper? Like I said, this may seem like a stupid idea. You may think who would possibly pay $10 or even $20 to take a picture with a guy dressed up like a stormtrooper or a ninja turtle or whatever else. But guess what, guys? People on vacation drop money on stupid shit. So do drunk people. Think about last time you were on vacation. Did you drop, $8 or $10 on like the most cheaply made shot glass that like the screen printing is going to rub off the first time you wash it, or that the glass is so thin it's going to crack like the first time that you try to cheers with somebody? Like, how many of you have bought a stupid overpriced t-shirt while on vacation? Like, people pay stupid money for stupid things when they're on vacation or when they're drunk. So if you're in a tourist area, if you're in a big city where people vacation, people will pay money for this. And then lastly, when kids want something, they want it bad and parents will pay. I mean, I look at like my sister dropping crazy money on all this baby stuff, or my girlfriend's nephews who, their mom buys crazy stuff for them, or people who buy like $150 American Girl dolls and then spend like hundreds of dollars on outfits for them. Like, when your kids want something, you're going to pay for it. And if you're walking down Michigan Avenue or whatever city you're in with your kids on vacation, and they're like, Mom, there's a stormtrooper, I want my picture. You're going to drop $20 to get your picture taken. So that's why it works. People on vacation drop money on things that they probably otherwise wouldn't. So here's just kind of an anecdotal story from a street performer in Vegas. This guy said, "I'm currently a street performer in Las Vegas. It cracks me up to see all these people doubting that any lame-o could pick the right costume and make more than they do with their college degrees. I assure you, if they are out there day after day, it is worth it. On a bad day, I don't make less than $25 an hour. I have made as much as $100 an hour, usually on holiday weekends, on those days. I do not doubt that a stormtrooper could be out from 2 to 10 or 11 p.m. and make $700 to $800. I understand that people with quote unquote real jobs don't want to believe it. Every day at work, I get comments like, better not quit your job. Hope you don't have kids to feed on this job's income. This must be a side job, like for fun. We hear it all. Now don't get me wrong. There are the characters that wear a red shirt, paint their face yellow, and hold up a sign that says Bart Simpson. He is the guy that's lucky to make $30 in 5 hours. My costume costs $1,200 and I am constantly cleaning it and doing minor repairs to keep it up. I pose as a showgirl. If it's something you wouldn't mind trying, do your homework like I did. Go to Fremont Street and watch. See what characters are constantly taking pictures with tourists and see how much they're asking for tips. Works better than a tip jar, insinuating that a tip might be nice. Invest in a good costume. Talk to the characters about rules. Trust me, this was the easiest gig to get started, and working 4 hours for $200 cash makes it worth it every night. So this is an actual street performer. I'd read an article on, I think it was like livinginlv.com, an article I talked about how much money people make doing this. And a lot of people in the comment section were like, oh, get real. People probably make $30 a day. I mean, like this guy said, if you go out there with some like crappy thrown together costume, you probably will be lucky to make 30 bucks a day. But like if you get a cool costume like this Stormtrooper one, you can probably make a good buck. And like I said, on AliExpress, there's some pretty badass costumes for like 80 or 90 bucks. You know, if you're willing to drop a couple $100, you can get something like the Stormtrooper costume. And I'll actually show you this exact costume on AliExpress, as well as a couple other ones like Frozen and Minions and some other kind of neat ones too. Potential issues that you may have trying to do this. Some cities may not allow this or may require permits. You may live in a small town and this just isn't going to be feasible because you don't have the amount of traffic you need. And then lastly, Disney or whomever's characters you're using may have an issue with this. Just as kind of an interesting side note, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that Minions, I think that's owned by Universal. I've heard that, you know, they don't really pursue copyright or patent issues with people. I think they like people making Minions toys and things like that and kind of spreading their brand. I think recently they may have cracked down on that, but I know for years people have said that Minions doesn't really care. You know, if you wanted to go to Alibaba and make Minions t-shirts or Minions figures or whatever, in the past, Universal wouldn't go after you for it. Really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think Disney's going to be going out suing some guy for wearing a costume, you know, on the street or whatever. But, you know, just to make you guys aware of the issues, those are some potential issues you may want to look into. Your city zoning, do they require permits for this, etc. And if you want to know where to get these crazy costumes, you can get them at AliExpress. And in just a second here, I'm going to show you guys kind of some of the coolest costumes that I've seen on AliExpress. So hold up. Okay, so guys, I just decided to pick out some of what I thought were kind of the coolest costumes on AliExpress and some of the ones that I thought might be the most popular. This is a Ninja Turtles costume. As you can see, like this isn't, you know, just some guy with like a green t-shirt and like a blue ninja thing over his eye and a piece of pizza. Like this is a pretty cool costume. Kids would definitely want to get their pictures taken with a Ninja Turtle, especially a cool costume like this. And I'm kind of confused by if you get one piece or 4 pieces, but it says it's $480, but it says it's a lot of 4 pieces. So I'm guessing you get all 4 Ninja Turtles, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Donatello. I'm guessing you get all 4. I'm not really sure. I'd have to read the listing a little bit closer. And this ships to the US free with EMS service, 12 to 21 days. Like I said, if you guys are just looking for a cool Halloween costume around Halloween time, you might want to check out AliExpress for some of these neat costumes. One other thing I just wanted to add, if any of you guys are actually serious and maybe giving this a try, is if you could get a group of guys, obviously you're going to have to split your money, but if you had 4 people dressed up like Ninja Turtles, I think you'd attract a lot bigger crowds and things like that than if you just had one. Granted, you're also having to split the money with 4 people. One other thing, if you kind of wanted to parlay this from being a street performer into more of a, you know, quote unquote legitimate business, these costumes are pretty cheap. You could rent yourself out to, you know, go to kids' birthday parties or events and things like that for, I don't know, maybe, you know, 50 bucks an hour, 100 bucks an hour, $150 an hour, something like that. And if you got a collection of these costumes, you could actually start paying other people to go do events or whatever for you and you just make the money. But I thought this Ninja Turtles one was kind of neat. 480 bucks. It looks like you get 4 different costumes. Here's another one. This is Olaf from the movie Frozen. I know my young cousins and stuff like that love the movie Frozen. Like you can see, these costumes have really good reviews. 133 4.9 star reviews. So, I mean, these things are quality made. They're not going to come apart. They're super cool looking. And this costume sells for $95 a piece. I mean, you could literally probably make your money back within a couple hours of being out there on the streets, you know, busking or street performing or whatever you want to call it. Now, don't think you can just go stand out there in the costume and people are going to come to you. You're probably going to have to like dance around and kind of act a fool. And I think a lot of people probably have too much ego to do this. I'm sure a lot of people are probably like too embarrassed or too shy to do this. But I mean, if you got the balls to do this, I think there is some good money to be made. Let's move on to another costume. This is the Minions costume. They actually have all the different Minions characters, as you guys can kind of see here. I'll just kind of scroll through them real quick for you. And, you know, some of these are as cheap as $62. I mean, that's, you could literally probably do one birthday party or be out on the street for a couple hours and make your money back from this. And this one also ships to the USA for free with EMS delivery. I thought this one was pretty neat. Darth Vader. This one is $262. I don't know if that actually lights up. It doesn't look like it lights up, but nonetheless, a pretty cool costume. Darth Vader, Star Wars is really hot. And then lastly, I thought this was probably the coolest costume. And the street performer in the article actually specifically mentioned stormtroopers. So I mean, look, this costume's pretty badass. It is going to set you back $540. But this is the type of costume that's going to make you 800 bucks a day. And then lastly, I just wanted to take you guys over to this article. I had thought about this as kind of an idea a long time ago, but just to kind of give you a recap of the article. Guess how much street performers on the strip make? Some person saying basically when they first moved to Vegas, they saw all these people. They wondered how much they made. Apparently, the local Fox News station did a story on street performers about how they've gone from Elvis and Showgirls to Kiss Gene Simmons to Stormtroopers, Spider-Man, and Austin Powers. But they said what really got their attention was how much money they're making. According to the fake Gene Simmons, he makes between $75 to $400 a day, sticking a fake tongue in his mouth and posing for pictures. For a 5-day week, 50 weeks a year, that gig averages $59,375. But what really got their attention was what the Stormtrooper makes. The reported wrapped up the piece by saying that they heard the Stormtrooper can make $700 to $800 per night. Just amazing. So, an interesting article about this. If you guys want to check it out, it's on livinginlv.com. But, you know, thought this was kind of a, excuse me, guys, I'm just getting over a cold here, so having a tough time talking. But I thought some of you guys may find this interesting. If you live in a big city, if you're not shy and like talking with people and interacting with people, this may be a good way to make some good cash money out there. So let me know what you guys think. Is this idea completely crazy, or is this something you might actually consider doing? Have any of you guys done this? Maybe somebody watching this video is a street performer and can comment if these figures that they make are accurate. But if you enjoyed the video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. Please like, please subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. I'm really trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2017. Hopefully I can get there quicker, but I really want to get that silver YouTube button plaque. So subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe to my channel, help me out there, and drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.